Nice little cute little intro you got there.
Yeah, welcome. This is Mando Tove. All right. So today's guest is a very special guest. Let's start off by
I don't know. I
he
don't know about
has
special.
uh very
I'm
special
a
guest.
regular
So
regular person, man.
he has 5.5 years in law enforcement experience. He was a police officer for DHS Police. He was in multiple shelters, including one of the most dangerous shelters in New York City, 30th Street, East Freedom, Fremont, Parkview. Well, Parkview wasn't even that dangerous. I mean, it was doable. Jerome Avenue, the most dangerous shelter, in my opinion, is Charles Gate. He was also a former Special Operations Division officer for DHS. Welcome, Officer Walker.
What's going on, everybody?
Wow.
What's going on,
How,
man?
how you been, man? It's been some time since I've seen you.
Yeah, good, man. Just try not to get old, even though it's gonna happen regardless of what I do.
So a lot of people don't know. Well, Walker, he was my you could say my field training officer um in DHS Police. So for start off, thank God you were my field training officer because I was a little bit of a hothead in those days.
We
You
all.
you saved my career probably like 3 times. I'm not even gonna lie to you. That's actually a fact. Um, so let's start off by what made you get into law enforcement to begin with, especially DHS.
Funny story. Okay, my mom had actually this 10, 15 years ago, way before it is now. Before you used to be able to just go down and take the test. And you didn't have to go online and reserve a seat and anything like that. My mom had actually gave me the money to get a prepaid card and go take the test for correction officer. Got down there, did that, got the prepaid card, went down to the place, and I'm ready to take the test for correction officer. I'm looking at the requirements, and this before I knew about you could sit the test and come back later and qualify later. I didn't have 39 credits and after 2 years in the military, and I was like, yeah, I'm not doing this. So I'm about to walk out. The test proctor, I think the same day they was doing special officer and school safety. And she was like, "Yo, why are you leaving?" And I'm like, "Cause I don't have the requirements for correction officer." And when I went, she was like, "Yo, you can still take school safety or special officer." I said, I'm definitely not taking school safety. Like I just graduated high school. School safety is not something I want to be doing. And she's like, "Well, then, okay, take special officer." So that same day, I paid for the DCAS and House of Police. House of Police, for whatever reason, they just never called me or got in contact with me. Um, DCAS, they 2 3 years later, I didn't know there was a hiring freeze. 2 3 years later, they sent me a thing for my investigation. After I had to, like, keep emailing and calling them and saying, "Hey, what's going on?" They're like, "Oh, we emailed you a packet." And I'm like, "Never got a packet, but I paid for a test. Like, let me know what's going on." I passed the test. Never heard anything back after that. But yeah, that's how it started. Um, After I took the test, I went on a forum, officer.com. And they got like a little sub forum, New York sub forum for anything that's going on in New York, about test process and everything like that. There's a lieutenant on there. I'm not gonna say their name, and unless so happen to come by them sooner or later. She, I got in contact with her. She basically told me about DHS and everything that was going on. She told me about special operations and what to expect and everything like that. And from there, I got excited because at that time I was just doing regular security. So now just waiting and waiting and waiting. In 2014, I want to say, was it September 2014? Yeah, September 2014. Got a call. I thought it passed, the whole DCAS background investigation, and I was put on backfill. I was put on backfill for their academy in October, and they never called me. Never called me. They were like, "Hey, listen, we're gonna put you through, do your psychological and everything like that. But you're gonna be on backfill in case somebody doesn't show up first week of the academy or whatever. We'll put you on backfill, whatever." About a week, so passes of the academy start date. Never got a call, and when they finally do contact me, and I wasn't even in New York at the time, so I couldn't even just turn around and come back. I had literally just went on vacation. I'm like, "Oh, well, they had been called me. This is the academy started this day." I didn't get a call back. week later, they called me, hey, you want to still do the academy? And I was like, yeah, I gotta wait for the next one. Ended up having to wait till March. They had to call me back, I think February. Had to wait till March to start my first academy for DHS. Yeah, that's how it went.
So, how was the academy for you? Because for me, in the other episodes, I said a story about so so when I got in, it was September 11th, 2019. This
Was it
like
2019?
NY,
You
yeah,
talking about
it was
DPass? Or you talking
no,
about
no, sorry. You're right. Oh, you're right. 17. You're right. So my experience was a little different because my experience was the very last class run by DHS Police before NYPD took over. So in my academy, it was a little bit of a mixture. Like they had like a little NYPD guys coming in, but my experience in my academy was one of the most bizarre things I've seen in the academy was I'm not gonna mention this supervisor's name. He was a high ranking. He was a high ranking. I think he was a chief or something. Whatever you know. And so he's talking to us in the academy, and he's talking to us, and these two guys come in and interrupt him rudely. They didn't care who he was, and they were like, "Listen, I am IEB from NYPD. I'm gonna lock all you guys up if you guys do this." And I'm like, "What the heck is going on here?" This is like my first month in the academy. I'm getting threatened by PD, and those are the guys that are work for IEB for NYPD. I guess I try to scare everybody, whatever the case may be. But that was like, and then once they left, that chief was mad because they came in and they interrupted him and they didn't care who he was. That was my first interaction of the new regime coming in. But how was your experience with the old like what was different in your eyes from the old regime to the new one coming in? Because you lasted there more than me, because I lasted it a little bit, a year and a half, almost 2 years, and I left.
I mean, don't say you left. You went to another agency. I don't want to say you
Well, I went
left.
to Malaysia. Yeah,
And
well,
like you left and just, had nothing else going on. You went to another agency. So it's not like you left. But I don't know. To tell you the truth, I don't really think much really changed, honestly speaking. If people made it seem like, NYPD is gonna come in and do this and the third, and they ain't really doing, from what I seen, they ain't really doing much but make, some of the good people wanna get up and quit. I don't know what was going on with certain, people's, backstory or whatever. And it's not really not that's really none of my business. But yeah, something, the commission at the time just felt like the agency wasn't being ran as good as it should have been, and it was incidents that occurred that DHS police just wasn't even there for. We just got the blame for whatever the fuck we wasn't even there for. Like the incident at Harlem Boulevard, DHS police was not there for that when the
when
clients
the
killed his roommate.
when the
Basically
guy
almost,
got decapitated, right?
yeah. We wasn't there for that, but all over the news, commissioners like, oh, well, DHS police need to be retrained, this, that, and the third. We wasn't there for that at all. Like we wasn't even in that shelter. After that happened, it became a detail. It was supposed to originally only be a detail. It was only supposed to stay there for 3 months. At that time, I was still at CG. So they would send CG people over, and then they would, after like a month or two, there was a transfer list. Transfer list basically made its way, and everybody was like, okay, well now it's going to probably officially become a site, and then it became a 24-hour site instead of just a 8 to 4, 4 to 12. Every now and then they would send over to the officers. Once the transfer list came out, then okay, yeah, it's definitely going to become a site after the 3 months is up. And everybody was like waiting. Nobody ever said anything about it. It just became a site, and everybody was just just stuck there. There's another incident that occurred in another shelter downtown. I forgot what the name of the shelter was called, but the DHS didn't stay there for long. I think we were only there for like a couple of months. This is before your time, before you even came in. And same thing, once again, we're getting blamed for something that we wasn't even there for. Oh wait, I was in the academy, another situation. But this is my commissioner, my first commissioner. I forgot his name. It was a black guy. And his place, Bronx Boulevard. Basically, a client that was transferred from the shelter had came back and kidnapped, raped, and killed the director, and that's why it's now called Anna's Place. And in remembrance of her name. This is literally why I was in the academy. But I think we was like a week out from going to our sites. It was just a bunch of situations that DHS Police was not there for. Um, and DHS Police just took the blame and the brunt of it, and we wasn't there for those situations. And when the new commissioner came in, I forgot this guy's name. I despise this guy because he just made the most stupidest decisions. He turned around and says, "Hey, listen, I think DHS Police just needs to be overseen by another agency such as NYPD because they basically just don't know how to perform their job. Literally know nothing about DHS Police. It could have been simple, give us better training, a little bit better equipment, better officers and stuff like that. But the officers you can't be blamed for that because the pay just sucks. You want quality officers, you have to have quality pay. Cost of living is a hell of a thing
But
nowadays.
also, NYPD couldn't even handle it either because a few years later they left.
What?
They stopped.
NYPD was only the NYPD management team was only there because the mayor and the commissioner said, "Hey, these guys need to be overseen by somebody else because they're fuck ups." In all reality, I don't think that should have been a thing. It should have been. It was a lot of stuff that was already in the works that people don't know about, like the OC spray training and everything like that, and taser training and everything like that. NYPD made it easier for everybody to get that, because before I'm gonna say the paper pushers, they didn't want everybody to have that. They didn't want this, they didn't want that. NYPD came in and said, "Hey, you know what? We're gonna make it easier for you guys to get this." That is the only significance that I can say that NYPD management team did for DHS Police on my part. I don't know about what other people can say, like probably like the academy instructors, Santos and them, they probably got better, different trainings and everything like that. On my part, all I seen was when people asked for more equipment, the agency as a whole, the admin, everybody, the people that's based in the shelters said no. NYPD management came in and said, "Well, why don't they have it?" Okay, give it to them. And that was it. There was no reason for us not to have OC spray or not to have a taser or anything like that. I can understand not wanting to give officers firearms because let's be serious. But regardless, that's the only thing I said they did.
The whole thing with the firearms in there, there's especially in those buildings, sometimes there's only one way in, one way out scenario. Like there's not even space. Like in Parkview, when you and me was there weren't even space. Like these hallways were so tiny, and there was only one way in, one way out half of the time. So
you can't
when
use that. You can't use that because how many times did NYPD come and help us with like a like that situation? Were you there for the fire situation? Were you there? I think you was there. You can't say that. When I had to put out the fire in the room. No, you wasn't there for that day?
Was past my time. That was past my time, I think.
No, you was there because Johnson was there. Johnson was there. Hey, I don't know if I think he was there. The paper was off that day. But regardless, you can't use that. I would say, some officers don't deserve to carry a firearm. I ain't gonna say no names, but some officers definitely wouldn't have been capable of, certain stuff when it comes to carrying a firearm.
Well, that's true.
But definitely, it should have been one or two officers that should have been qualified because, God forbid, if it ever did happen, a client decided to come in with, and do something. There's literally nothing. There's literally damn near no way to stop this person.
But let's not forget, in Parkview, you were there. There was a client that we didn't know about that had a firearm in his room. That illegal firearm that he got a license from NYPD. So that the whole time.
No, that wasn't a client.
Well, okay, it's a little bit of a gray area. It's a little bit of a gray area.
No, it's not a gray area. That wasn't a client. I'm talking about a client deciding, somebody wants to be that person and come in and shoot up a place and be an active shooter. or look to come in and harm somebody, there was nothing that most DHS officers could do in most
Well, for
scenarios stop that person.
well, for most people don't know, right? So in Parkview, it was pretty much a hotel before it got turned into a shelter. So everybody that was living there, they were given an option to stay or to leave. So there was one person there that stood and made it his residence. So
It was
you
more
know,
than one person. It was a hotel at first. Then they started renting out rooms and keeping them, permanently rented. And it's like three or four rooms, I would say, on the fourth or fifth floor. But yeah, they were permanent residents. They were not clients, so they could just literally come and go as they please.
so there was like a big situation at one time because he
It
had
wasn't
came down. He had
wasn't
came
even a big
down.
situation. Let's not make it seem like it's bigger than anything it was. It
Uh,
wasn't a big situation.
they
He
made it
came and
into
said,
NYPD management made it into a big situation because one, they were confused because the guy came down with the firearm and he said, "Listen, I have to return this firearm to to the cops
precinct.
because my license was expired or something like that." And then that's when he tried to hand it over, if I'm not mistaken, to one of the DHS cops, and then they made it went crazy. And then NYPD came and it was a big scene, and then they found out that he lived there, so he wasn't even a client, like you said, and he had a license, so
Hmm.
from there, it was like, nobody knew that this guy had a gun upstairs. I mean, think about it. You're surrounded by EDPs most of the time in that place.
Regardless, we can't make it seem like he was any type of troublemaker. He was legally owned that firearm.
That's
I don't
true.
know how he got the license and was able to keep it in his thing. I guess he probably had a premise permit. Regardless, we're not going to talk about him as if he was a troublemaker or anything like that. He legally owned that firearm at the time, and his license expired. I think it was like a day or two, or a week. It had lapsed, something like that. He had forgot about it. I guess somebody probably called him and said, "Hey, listen, your license expired. You might want to either renew it immediately, or you're gonna have to return that firearm before it becomes a legal problem." He probably just had in his premises the whole time. Probably completely forgot about it. I don't know. You forget about a firearm, but probably just completely forgot about it. And they probably called him and said, "Hey, listen, your stuff is expired. I think we need to see that firearm immediately." And when I spoke to him, that's basically what he told me. Somebody called him, somebody got in contact with him, and they told him, "Listen, return the firearm, and that's it, or you're gonna get arrested." And he's like, "Oh no, no, no way." Went and got it, left him, went about his business. That was it.
Yeah, yeah, I remember that. So let's talk a little bit about Charles Gate. I know in the academy, when I was in the academy, they told us that this is the most dangerous shelter you could be in and all that, and the hype was real. I remember my first day, they sent me there for training for maybe like 2 days, 3 days. And the place, in my opinion, I could be, is my opinion, but it was kind of, I felt like it was run like a prison, like a jail. Like it was more like you had you had dorms, and I may be exaggerating the number, but I'm just gonna say a random number of a dorm of like, let's say 100 or 200 people, whatever, and then you had to patrol that area by yourself. I mean, when I was there, was only one officer patrolling those areas, and people used to get raped in the bathroom, murders, and a whole bunch of other stuff. Um, I was only there doing overtime here and there. Listen, overtime here and there. I got into a couple scuffles here and there, but that was the extent of it. And then I'm hearing rumors, from other officers how bad it was. You were there, I don't know how long, but you were there for a significant amount of time. How was your experience in Charles Gate?
I don't know about murders. I think that's a that's a bit
Listen,
egregious.
I don't know. I'm just telling you that. But what back in those days, people were telling me people used to get raped and
Maybe,
all that,
maybe
murder, whatever.
maybe that was before my time at DHS. I have never heard about anybody getting murdered on the island while DHS was there. Is it possible? I'm gonna say it. Has it happened? Not as far as I know. As far as anybody getting murdered, of course, it's assaults, and I don't know about rapes. Might have been probably like sexual assaults, but excuse me, but definitely not a murder or crazy raping or something like that. There was about, I want to say, about a year or two ago, off DHS property. A woman was alleged. I'm going to say allegedly. um, beaten and probably allegedly sexually assaulted by a client that was within one of the shelters. Yeah, but as far as dangerous, I mean, I wouldn't call it dangerous. To me, I guess I want to say I thrived in that type of environment. That's where you're gonna, day and 30th Street, you're gonna learn. You can really learn at any shelter. So I don't know why people act like it's oh yeah, you're gonna just learn here and stuff happens everywhere. Stuff happens everywhere, everywhere, literally everywhere. You're gonna learn. You're gonna learn. If you're looking to learn or if you work that shift, you're gonna learn.
Well,
Simple, simple as that.
it also what kind of person you are, because if you're not that kind of person that's willing
If you're not, if you're
to
scared to
if you
to do law enforcement or take command of a situation, don't do it. That's just period. Because somebody like me, if I see you scared as an officer and you give me the chance to run you over, I'm gonna run you over. Worry about the
and,
consequences later. That's your fault. It's your
and
fault, not
that's
my fault.
and that's why I was so with me, I was so very on top of stuff, like, because this officer told me years ago when I was a volunteer cop back years ago. He told me, "Listen, I'm gonna give you the best advice you're ever gonna hear from a cop." And I was like, "What?" He said, "I'm gonna tell you something right now. If somebody tries to punk you in uniform and you don't do nothing or you don't stop it right then and there, then the next officer can get hurt or killed because you know what I'm saying." So what he was telling me is that by you letting somebody, like, let's say the word punk you or make you scared and you don't do nothing or you don't act when that person committed a crime or stuff like that, the next time he sees an officer, he's gonna think it's okay. So when I came to DHS, I had that mindset. That's why I was always not on
Yeah,
edge, but I was like I didn't
that
let
that
nobody.
that officer gave you bad advice.
Well,
Bad
that's
advice.
what he
So
told me.
you got plenty of people that turn around and be like, "Oh, we're gonna punk this officer. Oh, he didn't do shit. He ain't-" And then when they get their ass beat or something like that or ass handed to them, all of a sudden now they want to file a lawsuit. But there was these big baby badasses during that situation. Oh, I'm gonna fuck you up and I see, and then they get punched in the face or something like that or whatever. And then they claim excessive force. Officers are supposed to have, tougher skin. They can't do this and the third. He gave you bad advice. I don't care. Let them talk all the shit they want.
Well,
Freedom of
no,
speech.
no, 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 no. I'm not talking in a sense of they punk you by cursing you out, whatever, and you don't do anything. I'm talking about if, let's say, for example, you
You're
get
talking about them
assaulted,
breaking the law and you let them get away with it, then that's the officer's problem. So
like like
I
you
don't know what else to tell you.
like you getting assault, like you getting hit, or you're not doing, or you can, or you watched a person get punched in the face and you're scared, and and you don't act on it. I seen look in DHS. I made sure that every client know that I was always a good officer, but I don't take any shit. Always, and especially in Parkview. So they kind of knew that. I always had like a fine line of, if you cross this, you know, what I'm saying. So I always had I always had a good reputation, I guess, in Parkview, in DHS. But in the beginning, I remember I didn't take shit for enough for nobody. So I remember you actually had to stop me a few times, and you actually guide me in what to do. And I actually learned how to do certain things in that job, because in that job, all they want to do is get lawsuits,
That's all it is,
especially
bro.
the gang members. That's all it is,
That's not
especially the gang members.
that's anywhere you go. You got some people that will literally sit around and look for cops just to fuck with them. Not in DHS, but period. Just anywhere, period. You got the people that's gonna go around and see a cop and start filming them and saying, "Hey, what's this? What's that?" And just doing something annoying just to fuck with them. But then you got the ones that gonna sit around and talk shit to you, and then it's like, okay, I mean, outside the uniform, you don't know me. You just don't like me because of my profession, which is okay. A lot of officers take that and they run with it. Simple as
Mm,
that. I wouldn't pay. Most of the time, I never pay the shit no mind. So here you go.
yeah, it's true. But I definitely learned from you how to do certain things there, especially back in those days. Like, these clients will get you mad, will get me mad, and you actually, like I said, I learned from you how to do certain things without letting without without me getting too pissed off and then cloud my judgment. So that I learned about you because you were always calm, but you were like a no nonsense kind of person, like officer. So you were always like you were always doing everything by the line. Um, but I, what was that one situation? Hmm. That one time. So all right, so Walker, I don't know what you were doing, but you were in the lobby. I'm not sure if you remember. So you told me to go do a hit patrol in the building. So I'm hearing like a commotion going on downstairs. And there was somebody like getting in your face. I'm not sure if you remember that situation. When
What
when I
that
came
guy
from
Chicago?
when I came from behind and then
You talking about
when I came from
Chicago?
behind, yeah,
Yeah, I
I
know
think
what you're
it
talking
was
about.
him. What happened? Like because but like as soon as I responded to it, once I saw his close his fist, that's when I just grabbed him from behind. So I never really asked like what happened. Or if I
Oh,
did
no,
ask, I probably
you're not
forgot.
talking about Chicago. You're talking about somebody else.
The
Damn,
one
what's up,
where
man? He didn't
the
want to
one
cover
where
the
I
search.
picked
That's
him
what it
up,
was.
the one the one that I picked him up, and then he landed like an extra machine because he pushed himself back
Yeah, that he just didn't want to
in the
cover your
lobby.
search.
Oh,
That's what it
all right.
was. Just giving him, verbal warnings. You have to go through the motions, get the verbal warnings, so they can't say, "Oh, well, we didn't know about this." Well, okay, bro. You don't want to cooperate, you don't come in. You keep on, they're going to give you a summons. You just happen to come at a time where he decided he wanted to ball his fist. I mean, hey,
Uh,
swing if you want to. I mean, simple as that. Just that
so
simple.
when
You got to give them the verbal commands, so they can't say, "Oh, well, you were being excessive," and you was. Nah, he just giving plenty of time. I'm under a camera. You can clearly see that, I'm pointing and saying, "Hey, da da da." Even if you can't hear me, do this and the simple as that. You don't want to cooperate, you don't come in. You hold the line, and somebody else can't get searched because you don't want to cooperate. You get a summons or whatever else happens after that. Simple.
I actually got sued in DHS for something so stupid. It was like some EDP. Um, he ended up like buying a heater or something. I don't know, some bullshit like that. And he wanted to take it upstairs, and he didn't want to let us push it through the X-ray machine. It was a big situation. I called Sergeant Facey and everything, and he opened the box. I remember himself to show us what it was, and because of that, he tried to say that me and the sergeant violated his Fourth Amendment rights. Now that shit even traveled to my new agency when I transferred, but that shit never went anywhere. He was just like a fucking EDP that just wanted to sue people and try to get some money off of shit.
I done seen somebody get sued for a pillowcase and a $10 cereal, bro. Dead serious. I wish I was joking. I seen a lawsuit for a pillowcase, a $10 stereo, and a wooden cane. I wish it was a joke. I wish it was a
Uh,
joke. I kid you not. Like there's no violence in your Fourth Amendment right when it comes to when it comes to the shelter. When you're entering whatever, everything is subject to being searched. Everything is subject to being searched.
yeah, because
Yeah,
they sign a paper like a waiver when they come in, correct? That we
not
can that we
necessarily.
are
So
allowed
so
to.
for couples, not they don't sign the paper. From my understanding, they don't sign a paper. It's perceived if you're coming in to a shelter, especially Parkview, since Parkview is privately ran. If you was at 30th Street or something like that, different story. They made them sign paperwork. Listen, when you come in, you're gonna have to get searched. Da, 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 da. It's perceived. Anywhere you go to a courthouse, you don't sign no paperwork that says, you're automatically subject to being searched. It's very perceived. That's security. Any facility you come, if you want to come to my house right now and I say you got to pass this X-ray machine before you come in and you decide not to, you can't come in my house. Don't let me, come to your house and you be like, yo, take off your sneakers, take off your shoes. That's your rules. That's the
Yeah,
rules of the shelter. That's the rules of the facility. If they say, listen, this is what we want you to do, this is what you're going to do. The DHS rules already specifically states that anybody that's contracted, Parkview is contracted. But what was their names again? I forgot. Aguilar. Basically, Parkview contracts Aguilar, and there's already procedures rules. So when these people come in and they see the X-ray machine and everything like that, a normal person is already going to know. Put my stuff through here, take off this, take off that. Most people are going to know whatever. That's why you explain to them, listen, if you want to enter the facility, you need to be searched. If you don't want to comply with the search, you don't come in. If you hold up search, you're not breaking the law. And if you continue, you can get some disorderly conduct, probably, depending on how ridiculous it becomes, OGA, resisting, unnecessary stuff. Simple as that.
Mm, okay. So let's so do you remember any, like, were you involved in any situation that, like, okay, what's the most dangerous situation you've been a part of in the agency? Like
Mhm.
that will make you think back, like, well, this one was a close one, or this one was
None of the above. So I don't think there was a dangerous situation. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm really not
mhm.
gonna lie to you. People, whatever situations people that other people's going through, I don't think that I myself would say I had a dangerous situation. I'm not even trying to seem like a tough guy or anything like that. I don't go home and be like, oh man, I'm gonna have a nightmare about this. Nah. If people knew the person I was before DHS, then you already I was calm about a lot of stuff. So that didn't really matter to me. It's all you as a person that you might perceive something to be dangerous. I don't think that there was a dangerous situation to speak of in DHS, honestly speaking, for me, that I was there for, that I was present for.
Mm. So okay, so let's talk about your what unit again you were a part of, and for how long you were there?
With special operations,
Yeah.
special operations, I was there for what, 6 months, and then our commissioner at the time, he decided that but once again, another incident that we had nothing to do with, that he didn't want officers going into shelters and taking people out of form and stuff like that. A lot of people don't understand that when with special operations, we had the warrant squad. The warrant squad basically we would go in and pick people up for only specific offenses. We weren't going to if you had pissing and little tickets stuff like that. We weren't picking up for that unless you had like 3 harassments tickets or whatever that you're popping for warrant for. We're not picking you up for no damn harassment or peeing in the street or something like that. It had to be assault. You was wondering about detective squad for some type of felony or multiple misdemeanors and stuff like that. Um, most of the time we would go out with NYPD, and NYPD would they would take out half the rest. So if we were picking up 40 people, the local precinct they would take half of those 40 people, depending on what their cases were, and that would count towards their arrest count. So now it shows activity that they picked up 40 people. Um, so even though in reality, we're the ones that really did the hard work, and all they did was come and pick up the bodies with us and then take them off our hands. That was the trade. We searched
Mm,
a client. A shelter might have 200 clients. 40 of them got warrants. 40 of them got warrants that we could pick up. It could have been federal, it could have been local, it could have been state. They had warrants, we could have picked them up. We sometimes we would call the local precinct and be like, hey, listen, you got a conditions team, or you got anybody that looking at, they need some activity or whatever. Let us know. Most of the time, of course, they're gonna say yes, because the more people you show for activity and so that you're making arrests and everything like that, it goes on your activity sheet for CompStat to show that you're making arrests. You're doing something, regardless of where the crime happened at. It could have happened in the Bronx, or we in Brooklyn. If you got picked up in Brooklyn, guess what? It gets counted for the rest in Brooklyn. Okay.
and were you guys a part of were okay for starters? So were you one of the officers who caught that guy who decapitated somebody in what is it in
Um.
125th Street?
To tell you the truth, I don't know what exactly happened with that situation. Um. Funny story though. About a week after that situation occurred, doing the 12 to 8, and me and another officer, well, two other officers, we was going to pick somebody up and trade out. That I'm not sure if it's a hospital or another shelter or whatever. But yeah, we basically going to pick somebody up, trade out for whatever reason. And we walked down, we're driving down to 125th, and we seen somebody that looked just like the guy, literally spitting image, just like him. Here, same skin complexion. I think he didn't have the height. I think he was off by a few inches or whatever. basically stopped him and took his ID, and it wasn't him. But as far as that situation goes, I think they said that the guy that killed that decapitated the teacher, I think they say he was found dead a couple months later or something like that. I'm not sure if he actually got caught. To tell you the truth, that's something I probably have to look into afterwards. I think somebody was telling me that he was found in a park later on. His body was decomposing or something like that. And he was already like dead, like a week or two. When they found his body. So I don't know if he got arrested for it. I think he passed away.
Wow.
Or
Yeah,
whatever. I don't know.
that shelter when I was working there, it was probably one for me. Like I said, and like you said, every officer is different. For me, that was probably one of the most dangerous shelters that I was a part of because it was a mica shelter, and there was a lot of EDPs, and it was kind of like it was like an open kind of environment. So there was like a lot of fights there. Um, it was a very dangerous. All right. So one time I got into a scuffle there. Um, there was a guy that he came in and he had drugs in his hands. I forgot what it was, like a needle and a few other drugs. And no, he had it in his book bag, and he said, "I found these drugs."
Amnesty.
Because so he said, "I don't want it." And I looked, and I'm like, "What do you mean you don't want it?" And then my partner, I forgot her name, was a female. She said, "You know what? Put your hand in your back." That guy swung at her, right? He missed. When I tried to grab him, she came in and what's his name? There was an officer there, Donovan, I think his name is Donovan. What was his name? He's the fire department now. Like, you know what I'm talking
Donovan.
about?
Yeah, it's Donovan.
Yeah. He came, man. Listen,
Shout out to
the guy
Donovan,
was
man.
like the guy was like 6'7", 6'8", huge guy. Me and him was tussling with this guy. He had pushed the machine, the X-ray machine, the scanner,
Mhm.
and it actually fell on the sergeant. I forgot his name. I think it was Santana. His name is old Puerto Rican guy.
I know you're talking about.
He got punched in the face, and then the machine fell on top of him. So we're struggling with this guy for like it must have been like 5 minutes. So I managed to put one cuffs on him, right? And then we ended up putting two cuffs on him. So the machine is already destroyed, everything's on the floor. So we're trying to drag him downstairs to our office. So what he does, he throws
Don't say drag.
himself.
Don't say drag. Don't say drag. Escorted him.
Escorted,
Trying to
yeah, right.
escort him.
So what he did was he had the idea to throw him like he was. All right, there was one officer. I was behind him, holding him from the back, and then there was an officer in the front. His idea was, I'm gonna throw myself so we can all fall. So we all end up falling down the stairs. We get up, and this is not even. This is like a movie scene. There was a refrigerator downstairs next to our office. I don't know if you remember that refrigerator. So
Mhm.
he ends up I don't know how throwing that refrigerator and almost landing on the sergeant again. Almost. After that, we managed to put him in our office in the little chair. So what happens? I'm thinking, okay, we got a collar. My hand is swollen. Supposedly that officer, what's his name? You said, Donovan, I think.
Donovan?
Supposedly his wrist was broken, according to him at the time. And the officer, the female officer, her back was all scratched. I'm thinking, okay, we got a collar, whatever. And as soon as he says, the devil told me this to do it, then the sergeant says, let's just EDP him, guys.
You
All
made
of
the
us
right
are
choice.
injured. All of us are injured. My head is swollen. This guy supposedly wrist is broken. This girl is injured, and the EDP. And so he didn't do no time. He just straight EDP him. As soon as he says, "The devil told me to do it," that was that. So that was one of the
So the
stories
problem
I
with
had.
that situation right there is number one, that's not an arrest. I'm telling you right now. If somebody is coming to give you I want to say illegal contraband or whatever, shelters are supposed to have an amnesty box. Or if somebody walks to a precinct with a firearm, an illegal firearm, they give it to an officer, you can't arrest them for that. Same situation. So that would have went to the DA. You would have told the DA, but I tried to get them the drugs. They refused. They tried to put me under arrest. Case thrown out. Simple as that. So I mean, luckily enough, that wasn't a lawsuit. But had that been me, y'all did that to me, I'd have been like, oh yeah, free money. You just fucked up. I'm trying to give you something, and you're telling me no. They trying to arrest me and detain me for it. No.
It wasn't his person.
So I just give you a perfect example. If I walk into a precinct with a firearm, an illegal firearm, and I give it to the desk officer, I give it to the person at the front door, the station house officer, and they try to put me under arrest, it's going to be like, yeah, no, this is private property. This is not arrest evidence. You can't use it to arrest evidence because they're trying to give it to you. And that's exactly what I was told. I'm like, nah, I walked in, I tried to give it to them. They try to put me under arrest. It's on camera. Subpoena the camera. I would have lost that case. It would have been thrown out by the prosecution.
Well, like I said, that's what happened that day. And like I said, I think I had had to be like 3 months in, 4 months in or something. But that day it was like, to me, it was just like, at the time, I was like, wait a minute, how come we didn't call this guy? I mean, we all messed up here, we all fucked up. My hand is swollen, but ended up obviously, he ended up just EDPing him and stuff like that. So, like I said, in my experience, that shelter was one of the bad ones because there was a fight every day. But then again, the officers that were there, they were legit tough guys. They were the legit people there working in that shelter. So to them, it was normal. To me, I was just like, it wasn't normal for me.
I want to say tough guys, but they were good people. I ain't gonna say tough guys. Good people.
Well, at the time, like I said, I thought they were all white guys there. But yeah, man. Sometimes I kind of miss those days, but other times I'm like, damn, the pay wasn't all that, and to be getting into scuffles all day and all that other stuff, it just wasn't my cup of tea. So I had to transfer. I mean, listen. For people like you and everybody else who lasted more than 2 years there, you guys are a different breed. Like, you guys are legit, because I just couldn't take it anymore. There was so much fights, especially in Parkview, and like in the morning tour. It was a lot. It was a lot of stuff that I just couldn't take it anymore. It was just too much.
Well, you got lucky you was DCAS. So there you go.
So so you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna share a video right now, right? And since it happened in Parkview, I want to see what you think of it. All right, let me see. Give me 1 second. Because it's on YouTube. Give me 1 second, bro.
Come on, man. You supposed to have this ready, man. It's supposed to have been a 1, 2, 3 click thing.
Could you see it?
Do not see. I see a 4-3 Station House podcast.
Hold on. So you see the video now?
No. I do not see it.
Oh, okay. There you go. Sorry. Technical difficulties. I apologize. All right. So you don't see it like in the screen?
Oh, you're talking about this thing with McLaughlin. I've already seen this video before, bro.
Yeah, but can you see it, bro?
I already seen this video. You don't need, I mean, if you want to play for the stream, you can play for the stream. I already. Go ahead.
What's that right there? Right there. There's a firecracker. You put the firecracker away. Put the firecracker away. Put the firecracker. See,
Okay, you're gonna ask me my opinion about this video?
Yes. What was your
So,
opinion?
backstory of this video, from what I was told from the people that was there. Um, Basically, the client was already agitated by a staff worker. I guess the staff worker had him and the staff worker got into a back and forth, and officers they went to go speak to the client instead of trying to figure out, what originally had happened. I think the staff worker was trying to clean something or something to that nature, and I think the client had did something, and they got into an argument or something like that. And then, security came and they saw that, hey, the client's agitated, blah blah blah, this and the third. And instead of trying to figure out, which isn't really, I would say, 100% the officer's fault, because you want to sort of calm down the agitated one. And yeah, that's basically what happened. And of course, you see what happened in the video. I don't think that there's too much that could have been done there, other than practice some type of distance. We don't know what the officers were told before that whole thing is being recorded. Depending on what security might have told them, and now you walk up to a person and they're already agitated and already on 100. You're going to probably assume that they're probably telling the truth. But from what I was told, yeah, staff fucked up. Security fucked up, and probably a better story probably should have been told to the officers, and that situation probably could have been avoided. Unfortunately for the the officer, because I think he was out for, like, I think 6 weeks, and he was just leaving to go to another agency. He was leaving to go to another agency. That's the sad part about it. That incident right there basically delayed him from being able to go to another agency for about 2 to 3 months because of what occurred.
And it's crazy because you and me patrol those exact hallways and stuff like that. I mean, we've been in a lot of situations together with EDPs and stuff like that, but we never got into in a situation that like the way that happened. I think maybe exactly what you said. He should have kept his distance, or at least saw the signs, like from the beginning, like the way he was, and especially how he grabbed his masks and
The
stuff
sign
like
stuff
that.
don't even matter. Him grabbing the mask, that's his problem. That's this part. They teach you in the academy, at least 21 feet, regardless of what's going on. At least 21 feet, if you can. Is that realistic most of the time? Well, not most of the time. Some of the times, no. This is a situation where you're definitely not going to be able to be 21 feet from a person unless they're in the middle of the hallway. You're on the other side of the hallway, and then you can say, okay, 21 feet while I speak to the individual. This man is in the doorway. We already know those rooms aren't the biggest. He's in the doorway. They're trying to get him to calm down or whatever. I'm going to say allegedly trying to get him to calm down.
Allegedly.
And yeah, situations go south for them. Simple as that. Could an injury have been prevented with better restraint techniques? Yeah, 100%. Could an incident have been prevented with better restraint techniques?
I think his partner. I mean, we both know her. I worked with her in the midnight many years ago. I think she did the best she could in that situation. I think she did the best she could. I don't even critique or anything, because she did the best she could, especially in the situation she was. So I I didn't see nothing wrong that she did. I think she did pretty good. For the situation, for the thing that she could have done.
I agree too. But like I said, we wasn't there, so we don't know what was going on before the camera started rolling.
That's right.
So a lot of people,
That's right.
they'll see an incident on camera and be like, "Oh, there's people were in the wrong," and don't know what occurred before that situation. My thing is distance, and if you could try to avoid, an arrest, something like that, or EDP, or having sent somebody to the hospital, then you can try to avoid it. If you walked away and he was still acting up, it's the middle of the night, people want to get sleep, they probably got work in the morning. You have to have good enough reason to want to, you get them a chance to fuck up. Simple as that. If you keep going on with this for hours, so okay, now we give you a discount summons. Now we might EDP you. Okay.
I'm glad. Like this may sound like crazy, but out of my whole academy class, it's probably three of us. Obviously, it was two people in the Parkview with us that were in my academy. I think us three were the only ones out of my whole academy that didn't get badly injured. I know a few people got their hands broken in my academy, so it, you know,
You talking about DHS or you talking about DCAS?
no, DHS.
Well, Dawson never got
Out
hurt.
of no, okay, probably
Jonathan never
about
got hurt.
listen to this, about
Squirrel,
80%, probably. Of
Sumter,
course, well, I'm actually
right?
counting down. So out of probably about 80%, no, out of 80%, because I've talked to a few of them after I left, and about 80% of them out of my whole class got badly injured, or whether they got their whether they had their hands got broken or whatever it is the case may be. So it's crazy how out of like a whole 40 of us, a few of us obviously didn't get badly injured. It just tells you that how obviously every office is different, but
Okay. Still got my class A's. Hold on. I forgot that this was there. The class A.
I actually, believe it or not, I actually still got my shirts. They're somewhere in storage. I actually still got them.
Hey man, it's
But
memories, man. It's what made
listen,
it to y'all today. So there you go.
I enjoyed every bit of it. I enjoyed every bit of it. Uh, Especially all the supervisors that trained me in there. I know Santos got promoted to lieutenant. I just saw today in a picture.
Yeah, now he's been lieutenant for like a month or two now.
So that's good for him. It was a good experience for what it was. I learned a lot. Obviously from you, and I talk about this guy every day. Even until this day, Sergeant Facey, he's been like, he was good to me, man. Like he's been good to me.
Scumbag. That's all he is. He's a scumbag. He's my favorite scumbag, but he's a scumbag.
Like he's like, I'm not gonna lie, man. That guy did a lot for me, man. Like he did a lot for me. He's like probably one like my mentor. I love him like a father.
Remember you want to give him a hug and a kiss on your last day?
Yeah. He
Like,
was
no, no,
good to me,
no.
man. He was good to listen. He was good to me. Yeah, he's the reason why I made it out.
Oh
In
man.
one piece. So I do have to give him props for that. Especially you. You guys were good to me. So it was a good experience for what it was. I wouldn't do it right now. One, the money, and two, I'm done doing all that crazy scuffling. That I'm not doing that no more. That's already. I'll leave it for the young guys.
I mean, if you
But
come, if you just turned 21, you still live with your parents, you get some experience. I mean, me personally, I wouldn't do it at my age in the situation that I'm in. If you just coming out of high school or you just turned 21 or whatever, and you can just get some experience. You don't want to do corrections. You don't want to do school safety. School safety. You go to school safety, it's the same thing. You get the same pay. You're dealing with children. You'll have your peace officer status, whatever, but you're dealing with children. And seldomly or every now and then you're dealing with parents and teachers and staff members. Not as much, but you're dealing with children more than you are. Corrections just changed their thing to high school diploma only. You no longer need the 39 credits or the 2 years military.
but if you had 2 years of peace officer, you could do they could they will let you bypass in corrections for back
No,
in the days.
it's changed now. It's no more none of that. That's done. That's done. They took away
So
all
they need
that.
people.
If you
So
have
they
your
need
high school diploma, your GED equivalent, you can apply for corrections. You no longer need 2 years peace officer. You don't need 39 college credits. You don't need the military. You can literally be 21 years old, never had a job a day in your life. And as long as you got your high school diploma, your driver's license, and your GED, you can get hired for corrections. You ain't got no crazy felony case or misdemeanor open case or whatever. You can get hired with corrections. No longer they took that away. That's done for. 100%.
Well, Walker, thank you for coming in. I know we're running out of time. I really appreciate you, everything done for me in DHS, and I'm glad you actually came to the show.
Of course.
I appreciate it. Hopefully, you can come back again, and we'll do like a segment and stuff like that. I think that'll be fun.
Yeah,
do.
for sure, man. Let me know.
I appreciate you, man. Thank you for everything, and hopefully, you can come back again.
Yeah, let me know, man. I'm off on the weekends, so whenever we can figure something out, I'll come through. Do a little
I
another little
appreciate
segment.
everything, man.
Of course, man. Be safe,
All
man.
right,
All right.
bro. You too.
All right.